Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 343. We are live on Facebook and YouTube, and we want to welcome you guys to the show. We have something new that we're smoking. Nate's already smoking it, so he's got a head start. He also took a sip of the whiskey. Just ratting you out right here live in front of everyone.
I was eager to try this bottle.
I know you were. That's why I picked it. I told you that. I want to thank you guys at patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast. Also the one-time contributions, Venmo at Bourbon and BS. We appreciate all that support from you guys. And we have our reoccurring Patreon members, and we appreciate that continued support. Just like everything keeps going up, including this wonderful streaming service, StreamYard, and everything else that we use here. So we want to thank you guys for your dedicated support there. And I want to thank Tinder Box at Easton, Columbus, Ohio. That's where we're based out of. They have this new cigar from Drew Estate. So we'll be smoking this here momentarily with you guys. You can find it there and everywhere else going forward. So it's a familiar name, but a new blend. Altadis USA, we've got a second cigar. We love this cigar. It's the H. Upman Nicaragua by AJ Fernandez, that kind of light teal blue, if you will. Band on there. It's done very well for them. It's done very well for Tinder Box at Easton. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you, Altadis USA, and everyone involved there. We do have David coming back on the show here in a couple weeks. So we're going to have something new and exciting from him as well. And also want to thank Cigar Company, the gold and silver. The gold is made by Plasencia. The silver is made by Espinosa Cigars. Check them out. Tinder Box at Easton, Carfagna's, other places here in the Columbus area may have them here as well. But check those out. You can also contact the show, and we'll get you in touch with them to get some out to you. Appreciate their support. And also, you got some swag. It's a pretty big spider there.
There's a big spider walking across the floor.
I feel like I want to go kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. You do buy Jack. I'm going to go kill that thing.
Okay. Yeah, so swag available at buyjack.com, including the shirt Steve was wearing, the 2020 shirt, and stuck to his shoe. When the world hangs some BS, light it up. And then I'm wearing the podcast motto, pour one more, light up another. We'll figure this out together. We have several different colors for the T-shirts, and then 3/4 sleeves, which it's almost like last week was 3/4 sleeve.
We're getting there. Don't rush it.
Last week was 3/4 sleeve weather.
Yeah.
In fact, at night it was hoodie weather. And
Beautiful.
those are available on buyjack.com as well. You got the Nicaragua blue, and then you got the camo with the barrelhead logo.
Yeah.
So put in your size, put in your order, and they ship directly to you.
That's right. So thank you for them for doing that for us as well. That's awesome. And thank you guys. You can always post those on the Bourbon and BS community page on Facebook as well. And as always, ask any questions or comments in the comment feed on Facebook. And I keep saying it, the last few episodes, we might have to start leaning on YouTube a little bit more as well. So we try to monitor the comments on both of them. Spider over there?
I saw something move.
Now you're nervous.
It wasn't that.
Right. But yeah, so thank you guys. Let's start off with, you want to do the whiskey since you're excited about it?
Sure.
So we got the RD1.
It'll give you time to catch up on the cigar.
I appreciate that. Go ahead.
So this is RD1. It's a very long name. Steve did a very good job at shortening it on the banner. So RD1, which we've had one of their products before. Mm-hmm. Was that Mike that brought that on?
That's Jeremy.
McAuliffe. Okay. RD1 small batch Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey finished with Brazilian Amburana wood. I do. So yeah, over the last couple of years, Amburana, which is a type of tree indigenous to Brazil, has been kind of a negative buzzword in the whiskey industry.
You were telling me about that, and I didn't really understand why, but then you explained it, and go ahead.
So a lot of times if you see something called like a cigar cask, cigar batch, something like that, you'll find, whether it be a bourbon or a rye or just a whiskey, a lot of those will tend to have, as I describe, an apple pie note to it. Some of them you may get more sweetness, some you may get more cinnamon, but the underlying profile is like apple pie. So some of the other social media bourbon people out there have gotten kind of tired of that one because now there's so many brands that are doing it because it is popular, it sells. I mean, hey, what better way to sell whiskey than make it taste sweet?
right.
without flavoring it artificially. So some people have gotten tired of that because so many companies now are doing it. I still like it. I mean, the first one I ever had was the Starlight cigar batch. We had 2 of them.
That's right. Yeah,
we had 2 of them, and that was in the old garage. We had 2 of those, and I remember pouring one in the garage for Sean Wilkinson, and I just poured it in his glass. I go inside to use the bathroom before we start. And I'm like, why does it smell like someone lit up a candle, like a cinnamon candle? And I go and I grab Sean's glass and I just smell it. I'm like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
It smelled like apple pie. And sure enough, it tasted like it too.
Nice.
Now, what some brands are, so some brands have been finishing it in Amburana barrels. Well, this one says finished with Amburana wood. So there are some other brands out there that instead of transferring it into another barrel and doing a double oak, essentially, they're basically either taking off the head or taking out the bung, and they're putting almost like necklaces of these wood in through the barrel. So some of them are using staves going through the head of the barrel. Some of them are actually just using blocks going through the bung on the barrel. So different companies are doing it different ways. This one is coming in at 110 proof, which the Starlight ones that we had were 113.9 and 114.1.
Okay.
But different people in the garage prefer one over the other. But yeah, so this one, like, it's not even handwritten, so it's on the label. Like, this is going to come in at 110. So this is going to be 110 pretty much every time. And retail on it's about $70.
About $70. I got it in Champaign, not Chicago, but in Champaign, Illinois. We picked that up. Kristen and I were visiting her alma mater, and Benny's is fantastic. Wish we had that in Ohio. I know I respect the OHLQ to the best of my abilities, but man, it'd be nice to have Benny's.
It's also the same reason there's not a Total Wine.
I know.
Or Costco doesn't have a liquor license.
I know. But yeah, so this was available. They had a couple others. This one actually had some dust on her.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. RD1, first time we had it, like you said, was with Jeremy from McAuliffe. He brought do you remember, what did you say which one it was? Do you remember?
Oh, that had the burgundy band on it.
Yeah. So, but I saw it was the maple. It was the maple.
Yes.
So they had the maple. They had a couple others. They had this. I know Nate really likes the Amburana. I think I spelled that wrong. Amburana.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I spelled it wrong.
Oh.
Or they did. Yeah.
Amburana.
Yep, Amburana. Anyways, I know Nate liked it, so I picked this one up. Thought it'd be good to do for the show. And like I said, Benny's is fantastic in the Chicago area and obviously elsewhere in the Illinois, like Champaign. But yeah, so it's nice to see. It was on bottom shelf. There's so much, but it's on like bottom shelf, and it was like this one had dust on the shoulders, if you will. So, picked it up.
Which, in their defense, that's not necessarily means it's been there a while, because I get cases delivered at Perfania's.
Sure.
Sealed cases with tape over the seams, and I open it up, and the bottles are covered in dust. So it's like this has been sitting in a case, and yet it's still covered with dust.
Could have dust. I mean, that could be from the manufacturer, right? I mean, or distributor.
Yeah.
Manufacturer, probably. Before it went in the box, you'd think they would dust it off. Mm-hmm. But why would you? Mm-hmm. What do you think of it?
I really like it. So the nose is really what I was expecting. Mm-hmm. You definitely get that caramel apple pie note, that little bit of cinnamon in there. And then on the palate, there's that apple sweetness and caramel. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of transitioned to that cinnamon. And then on the finish, the cinnamon kind of takes over a little bit on the finish. You can still taste that caramel apple, but there's a little bit more spice on the finish of it. I think it goes down pretty well for a 110. And this one, so one of the reasons why some brands like RD1 are doing it with staves, like Dark Arts is for their rye, or with basically blocks of wood, is they're trying to make that just an additional flavor profile and not necessarily be the dominating flavor. So some of the ones that are finished, like double finished in the barrel, will take on more of that apple pie note. The ones that are doing the staves or the blocks, those, it's basically just trying to add an element to it and not necessarily be the focal point. But apparently for this, they're also, so they don't actually distill, they just blend and bottle. The distillate is Green River.
Well, Green River, as we know, is producing a lot of stuff.
They do a lot of contract work.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because the finishing thing was not too terribly long ago was frowned upon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you don't finish.
I mean, 20 years ago with Angel's Envy was really the first one that.
And then like one of those gifts that people will get you. They think, you know, oh, you're into whiskeys and bourbons and everything like that. They had them where you buy, remember those, and there's like this big, and it's got a bunch of little it's kind of cut out, but it's a put in your bottle of bourbon, so it'll finish it that way.
Oak and Eden, the Spires.
So Oak and Eden did it in the actual bottle.
In the actual bottle.
But I'm saying like I had received it as a gift from a few different people where you can throw it in like and you know, people are like, it's kind of gimmicky or whatever, you know, like why would you do that to your whiskey? And now they're doing it with actual oak staves, like just basically dunking them in there, right?
Yeah.
In the blocks. And then we had the Broken Barrel, if you remember that company.
Yep.
They were doing it even more extreme, it seemed.
Yeah, where they were literally just basically taking a hammer to a barrel, breaking it into pieces, and then putting those pieces into a barrel through the butt. It's
just interesting, you know, how far we've come. That would obviously it would control the surface area of what that is touching, but it also is you're still in that barrel, you know, doing it, right? I mean, there was the one, was it Broken Barrel that they did it in like vats? Remember that?
Yeah, Broken Barrel did vats.
They did like a vat, like a plastic or a glass. I think it was plastic, I think.
I can't remember.
Anyway, but they would like just put the state. Anyway, so it's a lot going on. I agree with you. I mean, you nailed that as far as the description. I think it's good. I don't know why I've got a little bit of heartburn going on right now. But usually when you have a little heartburn or whatever, acid reflux, and you sip on whiskey, it takes a couple sips for it to go mellow out. But definitely getting the cinnamon, the what was it? Animal cookies?
Animal crackers?
The one that had the pink frosting on them.
Oh, circus cookies?
I don't know. One was like animal crackers. One was animal cookies. Neither of them really crackers.
Yeah.
But the ones that have like the pink frosting on them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting.
Okay. That's
like the rum chata.
I've never had rum chata. Okay. Our store doesn't carry it. And although now that we have a new director, who knows, it might one day show up.
Looking it up. Animal cracker.
I thought it was a circus
cookies.
But no, iced animal crackers is what they were called. Yeah.
So yeah. Circus animal cookies.
Yeah, it was the iced ones. Yep. Thanks, Jess.
Animal crackers aren't crackers. Just to throw that out there, that's bullshit.
Yeah, you're never going to serve animal crackers
on a charcuterie.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Kristen wouldn't. I know that.
That's what I thought of too. She's a big charcuterie fan.
Yes, she is. But yeah, I like it. This is very enjoyable. This is easy drinking. Even for 110.
I do like it. I think the Dark Arts rye, which is a MGP 95.5 rye finished with Amburana staves, that's a 7-year, and I think that one they serve at like 104. So, and I've had that one. This one I actually get more of that Amburana influence than I do on the Dark Arts one. And that could be because this starts out as a bourbon and not a rye, so the spice isn't quite as there.
Sure.
Because it starts out as a 70% corn mash bill. So
yeah. Just having a description on the back here. What does that say?
A little bit of a story, I think.
God, it's small.
You want me to read it?
I'm getting old. Good Lord.
Oh, thanks, Bobby.
You're a circus. Good one, Bobby. From the roots and ashes of our past comes the rebirth of Lexington's first federally registered distillery, established 1865. Oh man, I'm gonna need glasses here soon. That sucks. It's a distinction we honor and will protect while ushering in a new era of soulful revival, dynamic curiosity, and alluring adventure. Doing a little alliteration there. In the Kentucky Straight Bourbon, the South American Amburana wood finishing is the first step in our search for more. Hashtag bluegrass glory. Texas forever.
So RD1 actually started, I think it was 2019. They were going to be in Lexington, and they were just going to sell their stuff through a shop, like through like a gift shop and stuff like that. And then COVID happened.
Huh. I'm laughing at COVID.
So they kind of got, the storefront basically got shut down. And so they had to decide, like, how are we going to get our product out there? And the only way really to get it out there at that point is to play the distribution game. Mm-hmm. So because of that, they had to get more investment, because you have to then buy more barrels and bigger bottling facility to bottle more and ship more. So as of the end of 2024, I believe they were available in 22 states. So in 5 years, they went from Lexington to 22 states.
Not Ohio, though, right?
I think there's one, I believe, in Ohio, because I have seen it on a shelf, and I think there's one item listed on the OHLQ website.
Okay.
So
I grabbed it, like I said, because when Jeremy brought it, I know we were a fan of the maple. He was a huge fan of the product, and glad we're doing it. I mean, this is very enjoyable.
Yeah, I do really like it. Even at 110, I don't really get a hug or burn from it. Like everything just kind of stays back of the palate, or in the throat. Mm-hmm. But like no burn or anything down there.
Just massive reflux.
Just for you. But no, I love letting it sit on the palate to kind of let that flavor roll around a little bit more. I think it's one where it might actually be one that might be better just going quick with it, because I think the longer you hold it, more of that spice starts to come out, more of that cinnamon.
Yeah.
So
I can see that.
So if you just, kind of take a sip down the hatch, you get that burst of that caramel apple, and then the cinnamon comes in at the end, but you still have that lingering sweetness.
Cleaner though.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are smoking tonight the Nica Rustica, but this is the Connecticut Shade. Nica Rustica was a blend. The original was a blend that came out, I think it was 2013, right around 2013. It was before it's Drew Estate, so it was before the Swisher acquisition. Mm-hmm. Swisher International was in 2014. That was when you had Nicholas Melillo, Steve Saka, a couple other big names from the Drew Estate legacy, if you will, during that time. And I believe it was Nicholas Melillo, who now owns Foundation Cigars. He came out with the Nica Rustica with that Connecticut broadleaf as more of a
budget friendly,
less expensive than some of the other projects that they had used the Connecticut broadleaf, like the Liga 9.
Yeah, I want to say when that came out a decade ago, I mean, that was like a $6-7 stick.
So yeah, it was about $6.95. It still is fairly inexpensive.
Like $8.95 for a
you're
Toro.
Still sub $10 on the Nica Rustica line. They came out with the Adobe as well, with a Habano wrapper, and then this is new as of I think this month, shipping wise. But this is the Ecuadorian Connecticut Shade wrapper. It is a San Andres binder, and then they kind of tweak it a little bit with some Dominican, Nicaraguan, and Pennsylvania filler. There's an acid reflux again. So it is a fairly unique blend. It's going to be something where, well, what do you think? You think this is straight up mild? Do you think this is...
No. This has got a little bit more to it.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, that's one of the things when you see Shade or you see Connecticut,
right?
A lot of people out there immediately think it's going to be a milder cigar. Like, it's ironic. I didn't know what we were going to be smoking, but in the car ride over here, I was actually smoking an Ecuadorian Connecticut cigar that actually comes across more of a medium body. And it's like all Nicaraguan filler and binder on that one. So for me, the Nica Rustica, like anytime I heard that, the first thing that I hear is rustic. And that's what I thought that original cigar was. It was a very rustic cigar. It wasn't trying to be smooth. It had a little bite to it. There was a harshness to that cigar, a lot of flavor. And then, it had pretty good construction. I've usually had issues with stuff coming out of the Drew Estate Esteli factory. But it was a great bang for buck cigar, but it always had that roughness around the edges. So even when they came out with the Adobe, great flavor. I think I actually liked that one more than the original.
Very different, but I can
very,
see, yeah,
very different blend.
Them
yes.
against each other.
Very different. And I like broadleaf.
Yeah.
But it's a very different blend. It was still coming in, I think, around the same price point, maybe a little bit less. So this one, as I've been smoking it, yes, I'm kind of expecting that shade, that creaminess on the palate, but I also know what the origin for this cigar is, being that original Nica, and you still get a little bit of that rough around the edges profile.
It's not a pretty wrapper leaf.
It's not. It's got some wrinkles. It's got some veins, some rough spots to it. This isn't something that if you just sat there and rolled it across the table, it's going to roll like a roll of coins.
Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper, like if you saw this on a Monte Cristo white as a wrapper leaf, you'd be like, what's wrong with this thing?
At like $17 if those things cost now.
Answer real quick. We had the question, is this Nica Rustica from the new Freestyle Live 2025? This is that cigar, yes. This is something Drew Estate has been doing, a Freestyle Live thing where there's kind of a mystery cigar, and if you participate in that, you will get the cigars, and then they do a live feed, kind of similar to what we're doing here, and they everyone's supposed to smoke together, and then they announce what it is. So, but yeah, that is.
I love blind tastings.
Yeah,
and yes, Brad, we are. I know. But audience, the 8th graders over here.
Yeah, should put parental guidance on this.
But no, like I said, it still has a little bit of that rough around the edges. I would put this more towards that medium body side. You get that creaminess a little bit from the wrapper. It's probably not the highest grade of Ecuadorian Connecticut that they're using in order to keep the price down.
I would imagine,
because that is a very popular wrapper. There's a lot of companies out there that use Ecuadorian Connecticut. So in order to try and get that and keep this in that same sub $10 price point, like, you may not be getting the best, but there's a lot of people that like, I just want to smoke something without having to spend $15-$20 on a Connecticut. But yeah, so, and then that San Andreas, which usually has that dryness, a little bit more earthiness to it as well, which I know you've talked about it many times on the show. 10 years ago, San Andreas, not a lot of companies were using it. It wasn't very popular. It was kind of rough, but over the years, they've really worked on trying to perfect that tobacco and make it better quality. And so now more companies are starting to use that as, whether it be a binder or even as a wrapper. There's a lot more companies using San Andreas.
It is
tobacco in their blends now.
I would say it is one of the top 2 wrapper leaves used for Maduro shade cigars. Between San Andreas and Connecticut broadleaf, or broadleaf in general, but yes, Connecticut broadleaf definitely. Yeah, it's a unique blend. I mean, you're even throwing in a touch of Pennsylvania tobacco. I assume it's Pennsylvania broadleaf.
Yeah,
that's the only typical one that people are using. So I mean, it's I'd say it's, I think Willie Herrera, who is the blender now for Drew Estate, I want to say he kind of used the term like a mellow medium, which I think is pretty accurate.
Okay.
Like it's kind of a medium, but it's on the lighter side. It's like a
Laranja. That kind of strength profile. Like this, yeah, medium, but not full blown, and more that lighter side of medium. Yeah, it's like like a touch less than the BS Gold.
Yeah, and some of the more recent cigars in this would be we've done it, the Connecticut knuckle sandwich. I think this has it's not quite there. Is that what you were smoking? How do you compare them?
So for me, the knuckle sandwich Connecticut, that wrapperly. Well, and I was also smoking the Short Churchill, which is a thinner ring gauge in this one. But even when I smoke the Toro, so comparable ring gauge to this one, I get a little bit more of that creaminess on that cigar. With this one, I get that creaminess, but I get more of that dry earthiness from the San Andreas. You get a little bit more of that spice from the Nicaraguan tobacco in there. And but they also throw that Dominican in there, I think, to kind of soften the blend a little bit.
Yeah.
Because Dominican tobacco tends to be more on that mild side. So I think they're trying to throw that in there to kind of offset the San Andreas a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I can see all that. That makes sense. Overall, do you like it? What are you thinking?
I definitely think this would be really good with a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
You know, an earlier in the day kind of cigar. Like I said, it's not as mild as what you would think when you look at Connecticut Shade and you look at the color.
Yeah.
So again, that goes to one of those misnomers in the industry where everyone sits there and they think they can judge the strength and intensity of a cigar just by looking at the outside of a cigar. You always sit there and go, oh yeah, if it's got that really light looking wrapper, it's gonna be a mild cigar. If it's got that really dark wrapper, it's gonna be a full bodied cigar. And then I point people to cigars on the shelf. I'm like, look how dark that cigar is. Like, that's medium. Let me show you a cigar that looks lighter in color. That's full body. So you can't always go. And that's something in the industry that started probably 50 years ago, but it's still believed, and because it's been passed down throughout shops, through consumers.
Yeah.
So people always sit there and go, if it's dark, it's heavy. If it's light, it's mild. And this is one of those cigars that proves that's not the case.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I think when that first really was a big thing, there wasn't a whole lot of there wasn't a demand for strong cigars. So you had a lot of Dominican cigars, especially Cuban cigars, but Dominican, where it was like like a Fuente, they'd throw like broadleaf or something on there, a darker shade, but it would still be more or less the same guts, and it would not be a very full-bodied cigar, but they would be fuller flavor, if you will, different flavor, a bolder flavor. And I think that's where the kind of that thought process started. And then there was a lot more creativity with the ligero and the way that you're blending the filler. I mean, like I said, this has 3 different countries in the filler, and I think that's where you're going to get some of that. Obviously, from the binder is going to tweak up the flavor a little bit differently as well, being that San Andreas binder on there. But I mean, you're going to have a lot of the strength from that coming from the filler, which I think a lot of people don't typically recognize, even still to this day. They just really don't.
Yeah. No, and to that, it kind of reminds how you've talked about the Cohiba Connecticut in the past. Like, that's a Connecticut Shade, very gorgeous looking Connecticut Shade wrapper on that cigar.
A little prettier than this one.
Yes. Well, you're paying $22, $25 for that cigar. But everyone looks at that and it's got that white band and think that's going to be a really mild cigar. It's like, that's actually more of a medium. That's a 5-country blend. There's a lot of complexity and flavor going on with that cigar. But it's one of those cigars. It's like, oh, you like Connecticut Shade, but you don't like cigars that are super mild. Here you go. And you don't want to spend, $20-25 on a cigar. This might be the one for you then.
It's definitely worth a smoke. I'm curious. I saw the comment about the freestyle. I don't know if you had this cigar. Has anyone had this that's listening? I'd be curious to hear or to see your comment on what you thought of this, if it was through that Freestyle Live 2025 experience, or if you've had it since it started landing on shelves. But yeah, this is definitely something. If you like the Connecticut Shade type of cigar, this is worth the smoke, especially for the price being sub $10, just like all the rest of the Nica Rusticas.
Well, it's funny when you were talking about Fuente, before you even mentioned Fuente, one of the first cigars, comparing that shade to that darker wrapper, one of the first cigars I thought of was the Ashton Classic, which is made by Fuente. You got that Ashton Classic with that Connecticut Shade wrapper on it. It's a milder smoke, but then you have that Classic with the Maduro. And people sit there and think that Maduro is going to be like the complete opposite end of the spectrum. But if you explain to people how it is they process the wrapper to make it a Maduro, you explain to them like, no, because they ferment it longer, like the oils come out, it's a little bit more flavor. It's a deeper flavor. You start to get more of that dark chocolate, that espresso, that kind of flavor profile without necessarily increasing strength. And you get a little bit of natural sweetness from that wrapper.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, well, that cigar is really dark and looks like it's just going to kick my ass. It's like, no, it's not. Like that cigar with a cup of coffee would actually go great together because it's not a full-bodied cigar, but it looks like one.
It's interesting. I just had that conversation, not about that particular one. It was actually about Padrones, kind of going off on a tangent here a little bit. Looking at Ray's comment, we'll address that here. But he basically said he liked the Padron 1964 and 1926, but he preferred the Maduro. Well, he came in and he, instead of buying a box of the Maduro, he said, actually, can I get natural? And I said, oh, what caused the change? And he said, my doctor said that that Maduros are actually worse for you. And he said Maduros, the doctor's telling our customer, his patient, that the Maduros are worse for you because they color the leaves to make them darker. And I said, that's interesting. It's an interesting take on it. And he said, wait, why? Is that not true? I said, I'm not going to tell you your doctor is wrong specifically. And I'm not going to, tell you to listen to your tobacconist instead of your doctor when it comes to health issues. However,
your doctor's an idiot when it comes to
I will send you some links to
there you go.
Information that's accurate on that subject. And he said, well, wait, what is it? And I said, to your point, right? You said you a little longer fermentation and also hotter. Typically, they keep the Polones a little hotter for that.
Yep.
And that is what causes what Nate was describing as, the oils and the darker shade and also flavor differences in a sense of cooking it. There were cigar manufacturers that got into a bit of trouble in the industry for, quote, painting their wrapper leaf to make it darker. And there were some that literally it would come off on your lips, or if you were holding it, you'd touch not like the oil coming from like a plug cigar, but literally you would touch your saliva would make the wrapper leaf wet, and it would come off on your hands.
Or there was one manufacturer, they still do this to this day, where when they're processing that wrapper leaf, they put a little bit of water in the palm of their hand, take that leaf and start to crumble it up so the leaf is still moist, it's not dried out, and then they just roll that leaf around in their hand, and that rolling creates pressure on the leaf, which causes the oils to start to come out of the leaf. And they just sit there and they just keep rolling it. And then when it hits the shade it's supposed to, they just unfurl the leaf and then they just set it in their pile. And you see all the oils on their hands too. And then
it's gotta be good for your skin.
And then they just put a little bit more water and they just do the next leaf. And that's how they get that color.
It's a process.
They're not painting it, but they're also not going through the time and the energy and money to age that tobacco and ferment that tobacco to get to that point. It's still natural. They're just speeding up the process.
It's like using smaller barrels.
Oh, I thought you were going to say pressure cooker.
Pressure cooker also. Ray Cheshire, I'm assuming that cigar manufacturers have no legal obligation to state whether a cigar is mild, medium, or full-bodied. To my knowledge, they do not in the United States.
They don't have to. Some do.
What's interesting, however, is that even if they did, that would have been a conflict in the United States in special areas, because now you are not allowed to market it as mild on tobacco products. That was going through the FDA stuff that they never really enforced, but that is something where you see, for example, on cigarettes, you can't call Marlboro Lights. You have to call them Marlboro Golds. You can't, the Jarums, they're select. Mm-hmm. They're not milds anymore. So
silver.
They don't do that because the government would be one to say that you're marketing it as like a diet soda.
Yeah.
Like you're saying that this
It's
mild
a diet
cigar is
cigar.
not as bad for you. Much like that doctor in his infinite wisdom said that Maduros are worse for you. So that's along the same thought process of like a doctor that follows like FDA stuff like that, where it's going to be something where it's like, no, darker is worse for you because it's stronger.
Yeah.
It's
meanwhile, your doctor's sitting in his office smoking a Marlboro Red.
I don't know, but that is the case. That's the truth right there. So no, they do not. Any other questions you guys have, just shoot them out there on the Facebook comment, the feed there. And I'm trying to watch any YouTube comments as well if we have some YouTube, because we do have a couple people at least on YouTube watching this live and not just Facebook. So if you guys are on YouTube, we can see your comments as well. This is the time of part one here where we're going to rate the whiskey, the cigar, and the pairing. Show goes a little bit quicker when it's just two of us. I noticed that.
There's less inputs to hear from.
There's less inputs. That's where we look to you guys, the fans listening live on that. But Nate, go ahead with that. This is where we do. It's out of 10 for the 3 different ratings. 1 on the whiskey, which is the RD1 Amburana cask, or not cask, but finished, if you will.
Amburana wood finish.
Yes. And then we have the Nica Rustica Connecticut Shade for the cigar, and then the pairing.
I always used to say Nica Rustica because Nica Rustica, it just the sound sounded similar. That's how I always used to pronounce it, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. So on the whiskey, the RD1 Amburana, gosh, I really like that flavor profile. That apple, that caramel, apple, cinnamon, I really enjoy that. I'm gonna go 9.5 on this.
Wow.
I really do enjoy this. This is a hell of a bottle. Like, if this was available in Ohio, I would buy this. I would have this bottle at my bar. I would probably drink it way too fast. It's one of those. It's almost like a dessert in a glass without being super sweet. Which again, I think that's why they're using blocks of the wood instead of actually finishing it in the barrel. Right. Sometimes those ones that are finished in the barrel take more because there's more surface area in an entire barrel than just a few blocks of wood in there. It might impart more flavor. Mm-hmm. It's also more expensive to use an entire barrel than it is to just break it up into pieces.
Sure.
But no, it's like there's still the whiskey there. There's still that original bourbon distillate. Like I said, I believe this is coming from the original distillate's coming from Green River. So this is going to be their 70% corn, 21% rye, and 9% malted barley. The other bourbon they do is a 21% wheat. But this one is that rye bourbon. But no, this is really tasty. That's why I took the sip before we even went live, because I was super excited. And I'm very glad you were thinking of me when you purchased this bottle. No, this is very good. This is very good. And it's like, yeah, you can take a really good distillate, put it in a really good barrel, and make a really good product out of it. The cigar, I'm going to do this one with a slight asterisk. I'm going to give the cigar a 7. The asterisk is, I think this cigar is exactly what Drew Estate wanted it to be. It's not trying to be a Monte Cristo Classic or a Monte Cristo White Label, because the Monte Cristo White uses an Ecuadorian Connecticut, whereas the Classic is a U.S. Connecticut wrapper. They're sitting there going, we're going to produce an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper cigar that's a little bit on the lighter side, but we don't want it to be mild. We want to keep in tradition with the Nica Rustica name. It has a little bit of that bite to it, a little bit of that harshness, but still keep it at that sub-$9, sub-$10 price point. And it's for that person who, like, I want to have a cigar, but I don't want to spend $12, $15 on a Connecticut, but I don't want something that's going to blow out my palate, but I really like Connecticut cigars. Like, this is kind of what I think they're going for. And I think they hit it on the head. you know, it's a quality cigar. Mine did have a couple slight runs, but it caught up to it on its own. I haven't had to touch it up. You know, it's got a good flavor. If you know how to pick out and you like that San Andreas flavor profile that comes through. But again, a 7, but it's what it's supposed to be. They're not trying to make an $8 cigar blow your socks off and be a 9 or 10. Like, no one's going to sit there at the end of this year and go, oh, this is Cigar Aficionado's top 5. That's not going to happen, but that's not the goal. Right. This is just another page in their portfolio to try and meet that person who's looking to save a couple bucks on a cigar. And I think it does it. I think it's a really good smoke. With the pairing, I'm actually going to give the pairing an 8.5. So that San Andreas that comes out on the cigar has that dry earthiness on the palate, gets offset as soon as you go to the whiskey. It makes you want to go back to the whiskey, but because now your palate's a little drier, those sweeter notes on the whiskey cling to your palate a little bit more, so it amplifies that apple pie note. Whereas whiskey to cigar, where we've had a lot of those pairings where whiskey and then immediately the cigar, it kind of drowns out the cigar or elevates some sort of spice. Like, doing it that way, I get a little bit of a tingle, but just on the lips. I don't get it on the palate. It doesn't mute the cigar necessarily, but cigar to whiskey, it just makes the whiskey stand out more because that dryness, and then immediately that sweetness has a place to go on the tongue.
Yeah. Good descriptions, man. Very good. You're nailing this tonight. I already took the banner away so you can see it. Okay. That was a thumbs up afterwards. For me, the whiskey, I'm not at the 9.5 like Nate had on there, but I'd give this 8.25. I really do enjoy this. I think it's a good proof for what you're going for here. You know what I mean? I think this is something that it's nice to be able to sip on it. You're not quite at a barrel proof, or cast strength, if you will, but you are also coming in with a little bit of strength there to it, so that you are gonna. It's not too high. It's a very nice kind of middle of the road anymore. That 55% there.
And I actually think that's the proof they're going for with this one. I think they actually are watering it down to 110.
Yeah, because
I've seen or had a couple of Amburana finishes where they've been like 104. I think High Banks, their cigar cask, it's like 108 to 111, depending on which batch. I think it's right there in that kind of range.
Yeah.
So that's not being diluted. Whereas this one, with it being printed on the label, I think that's the proof they're actually.
What I'm going to do though on the next, or I might top this off for part 2 and put a drop or 2 of water in there.
Okay.
See how it sips on like that. Cigar for me, I like what you said, Nate. Sounds like something that I would say, where they're doing this intentionally. You probably have your hands on a lot of Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper leaf that they're getting their hands on, if you will, and it's not all going to be something that they can put on the Underground Shade or something along those lines. It's something that it's like, that's a little uglier. Do we use it as binder? Do we use it as, what do we use this for? And it's on the fringe. So it's
definitely a good business point.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily, it could be, I don't know. It could be a similar wrapper leaf that they're using on like a factory smoke, which is their bundle line, right? It could be something where the rest of the cigar is going to be a little bit higher end tobacco, obviously long filler, where the factory smoke is going to be that kind of 2/3, if you will, some short filler on the cigar, which makes that a $3 Toro, where this is going to be coming in more in that $8, $7 range as far as the MSRP for this one. So there are business sides of it where it comes in, that comes into play, where they've got their hands on tobacco that they want to use, and they're able to make new blends, and they have enough of the tobacco to make it a consistent, regular production cigar. So,
well, and sometimes with these companies that don't grow their own tobacco that they're using, they have to just buy tobacco by the bales.
Right.
And so not all that tobacco is necessarily going to be to the quality to be your
Right.
super premium cigar. So
Right.
yeah, to your point, you got to do something with it.
Got to do something with it. So I didn't rate it yet today.
Not the pairing. Or no, not the cigar.
Cigar.
You did 825 on the whiskey.
I think, and I don't have it in front of me exactly what the MSRP is, but I think it's going to be right there with it. Like I'll give it like a 7.5 for what it is. You know, you factor in a little bit of that price point on this one, where there are some moves being made by some of the big boys in this industry. And I think you're going to start seeing it. You know, Nate and I were talking about a little bit about how some of the bottles that we enjoy have dropped in price recently. And I think some of the cigar manufacturers are doing something similar where they realize that with all of the price increases over the last 5 years, especially, and where they see the biggest consumers are going to be in America, the U.S., excuse me, but you're going to have people that are looking for something that's not going to be the new average price of $12 to $13, and then obviously way north of that for some cigars that they had enjoyed in the past. So they're looking for alternatives, where I think that this is going to be something that is intentional, is what I would say.
Yeah.
So pairing on this, 8 straight up. Good pairing. I was kind of concerned. I thought
this bottle was going to blow the cigar out.
Yeah. So I picked up this bottle. We weren't going to do it tonight, but then I figured it would be a good one because, again, you know, I knew that Nate would enjoy it. And I didn't know what the fuck that was. I was like, who's peeling out in my neighborhood? And then this cigar, I did smoke one already.
You had one before?
I had
okay,
one
so
already.
you
So
knew
I was like, you know, it isn't super mild. It does have a little bit of gust to it. So I was like, it should stand up, not knowing what the bottle tasted like. But I think it was a good pairing. I think this is enjoyable.
Yeah. I mean, and to that point,
really drowning out the other one.
To that point, when I first saw the cigar and I saw RD1, Amburana, 110 proof, I thought that whiskey was going to just absolutely drown out this cigar.
Yeah.
And part of me is just because, like a lot of consumers, you see that Connecticut Shade and immediately your mind goes somewhere.
Especially that they put it on the label.
Yeah. I forgot the part. It's Nica Rustica. Yeah. And I know what that cigar is. So this smokes like a Nica Rustica, but has that Connecticut Shade to mellow it out a little bit. So,
and the original is now called the Broadleaf. The Adobe is the second one with like the blue band on it, this Connecticut Shade. So yeah, that's it. I'm glad we did this pairing.
Yeah, it was definitely better than I was expecting when I saw what, like I said, when I saw what the two products were. Like, yes, you always have those preconceived notions.
Sure.
But once you get into it, I mean, yeah, it's actually a really good pairing. I mean, we've had pairings where we're like, oh, these two will go well together. And then we have them. We're like, this sucks together.
I want a do-over. Well, with that, we're going to roll into part 2, but we'll break it up here for you guys. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. Thank you very much. Cheers. Get started here. I'm going to pull up some of the comments from the Facebook page here.
I do like that flavor profile.
I know you do.
Well, it's funny. Like I saw another video this year from Kentucky Bourbon Fest where they were asking, like, what are those buzzwords that you hate in the industry, or what's something that you wish would go away?
Yeah.
One of the more popular answers was Amburana. But yet, I mean, RD1, the maple, I think I was on the fence about. I don't think I rated that one too high, the maple. This one I absolutely love. I love the Starlight ones. The High Bank, which theirs has a lot more rye in the mash bill because they're blending 2 high rye bourbons and rye together. That one, again, I described that one to people as it's apple pie with a lot more cinnamon. Like you were putting cinnamon into the mixing bowl and the cap fell off and you're like, oh shit, just roll with it. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, different companies do it a little bit differently. But yeah, this was definitely a very enjoyable bottle. The people that sit there and see Amburana and go, nope, I don't want to try it. Good. That leaves more for the rest of us.
It's just weird when that happens, when people are just like, yeah, I don't want, everyone's doing it. It's like, yeah, it's because they're having success with it.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's popular.
Yeah.
That is the bourbon group, right?
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it has been. I mean, that's the bourbon, you know, that's the Blantons in that group, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Blanton's at that time, right? You know, something that it was so popular, and then everyone got past it. All bourbon.
Oh yeah,
got past it.
Or like you tell the story of when you went into a bourbon get together and you took a couple E.H. Taylors.
Yeah,
and no one touched them because they were just like,
it wasn't a single.
Yeah,
like
it was just
a barrel pick.
Yeah, it was small batch, or it was the rye or single barrel, whatever. But one was small batch, which you still get people lining up 5 hours before a store opens to be able to get.
Yeah.
But you just had these people that like, yeah, I've had that too many times, or I've got 5 of those at house. Like, I'm over that. What's next? It's like, there's still a shit ton of people that really like that product. So,
yeah. Oh, you got Blanton's. That's cute. I remember my first bourbon.
Yeah.
All right. How many of you flipped in the last year?
Yeah.
All right. I copied and paste some of the topics. If you guys have any questions or things you want to talk about, part 2, just let us know. You comment, Brad Sibley.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 343. This is part 2, Beyond the BS. We are live on Facebook. We're also live on YouTube. So if you guys are listening on either of those live, we've got a lot of people actually watching right now. So we appreciate you guys doing that between the two formats. We also will be posting audio. Need to get better at doing that for you guys in the off weeks to get some of the people that listen on the audio. So share it if you guys would be so kind. Grow the audience. We love seeing that. Share, comment, like, review, and subscribe on all the formats you enjoy listening to the show, and tell your friends about us. Every other week now on Wednesdays. This week it's Nate and I with you guys out there in the live audience. And then also in 2 weeks, I've got David from Altadis coming back on. He'll be joining us. Thank you, Altadis, for obviously the sponsorship and the continued support. Very nice. Very nice. It's a great sign. All right.
I could be a weatherman as well as that happened.
That's good. I could not. I would always go the opposite way.
Well, I know that sign's over my
shoulder.
It's
fair. All right. So we are doing, I'll put the banner up and then I'll put some of these other things if you guys want to, again, comment, and we will try to get to you. But this is the community page topic. And we are going to start with something here. They're going to have my name on it, but again, these are from different people out there, and there's some obvious stuff for what we're going through right now, I think. So if you guys could bear with us on that, we'll start with a cigar question, which I like, or a comment. This one was from Dave Willard. This is what's the connection of cigar smokers, both men and women?
Wondering what
that's all I got.
The connection. So I would say the connection that cigar smokers have in common is that kind of decompression. Want to get away. They don't necessarily, it's not that they don't want to be at home, because you can be at home and still decompress with a cigar. You go out on the patio, you're not stuck in front of a TV, you're not at work, you're not dealing with all the chores and hustle at home and stuff. It's that time to just sit around, relax a little bit, and regardless of what topic is, like or what profession you come from, you can have a dozen different people sitting around a lounge, all come from different walks of life, and they're all there for the same reason. They all just they enjoy cigars, they enjoy what goes into making a quality cigar, the art behind it, and they just want to enjoy that and relax. They want to think about the cigar and not a whole lot else. So, I mean, we all have shit that goes on in our lives. Cigars is one of those things to kind of be by yourself in the moment a little bit and just focus on that cigar. Sometimes it works the other way around where you go to sit by yourself and have a cigar and it makes you start thinking about other things or having deep conversations with yourself. But it's more that just kind of silencing out all the noise from the outside to just be in that moment with a cigar. And I think that's what we're all looking for. You know, when you go to a cigar shop, you want to enjoy it either by yourself or actually, you know, go to a cigar shop during a football game. You want to sit there and, you know, you don't care who's playing on the TV, whether it's your team or not. Like, you just enjoy the social aspect of that as well.
I was going to say that there's also it brings people together, I think. And maybe that's what Dave was talking about. Also, what's the connection to cigar smokers, both men and women? We've talked about it. We've been doing this for so long. And we've talked about a lot of different things. This is one of them where as you get older, you know, and go through life, you know, what your social circles are a lot of times would either be based on your family or where you live, right? Your neighbors, perhaps. And then also, you know, hobbies or habits, or not habits, hobbies, things you enjoy, where you have a common ground. So, I mean, like, I hear it a lot at work, even at the cigar shop, is that, oh yeah, you know, my neighbor, you know, he smokes cigars or he likes whiskey, or, you know, my wife's friends, you know, they enjoy getting together and sitting on the patio and doing, you know, smoking a cigar and stuff like that. And obviously in the cigar shop, on like a patio at a bar, there is this common ground that you can almost have an icebreaker of, like, what are you smoking?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you like that? Have you had this? And you start kind of just talking, and then that will then kind of blossom into more of a conversation all around. You just never know. You know, like we have such a strong community of, and it happens with the bourbon stuff too, but with the cigar community, it's pretty tight knit. I mean, you do have people of all walks of life, different jobs or different backgrounds, and just different situations altogether. And then they can talk about cigars. You're not going to get along with everyone. I mean, that's just not going to be, that's not realistic. But I mean, you are at least going to have a conversation. You can sit by yourself and, you know, put your headphones in or whatever it is. Or if you just smoke on your, you know, at your home by yourself and you just enjoy it. A lot of people smoke in their cars. A lot of people like to do it while they're doing other things like yard work or something along those lines. So there's a lot of things, but I think the connection is that there is a common hobby that you enjoy, and that is the icebreaker. That it's just like sports teams. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, well, I mean,
you can sit there.
Bears fans, we share misery. You know,
I mean, it's not quite the factory of sadness, but
it's getting there.
But no, like on a Saturday and Sunday this time of year, you can sit outside at your own house and, you know, take a TV out to the patio with you or whatever. You could smoke a cigar and watch a football game by yourself if you really wanted to. But there's a lot of people out there that are like, hey, I want to go watch football. I'm going to go to a cigar shop. Yeah, I want to
go to a bar.
I want to have a cigar. I want to watch the game. I can do that at home. Yes. But so what does a cigar shop offer for that your back patio or front porch doesn't?
Community.
It's community. Yeah. It's other people that you can talk with. You know, you sit there and bitch and whine at the TV or celebrate together.
Sometimes it's also being able to smoke inside, which is a lot rarer these days, obviously. So, you know, if you don't want to sit out there and bundle up, if you don't have a covered area or whatever, you know, you get out of the elements and do it. Brad, you know, says it's the only way to mow. So again, he's one of the yard guard guys. Ray says something very Ray-like. Cigars is the great leveler. I can even sit with people I don't like when smoking a cigar. It's very Ray.
Yeah.
For those.
And I've talked about it in the past before, where if my wife and I travel, one of the first things we try to do is find a really good cigar shop. Because if anything ever happens where we get separated and like our phones die or whatever, like my wife knows, okay, Nate's probably going to go to a cigar shop. I can find him there. Also, she can go to the cigar shop, and if she gets there first, that's one of the safest places she can be.
That's fair.
At a really good cigar shop, lady walks in there and she's like, yeah, I'm looking for my husband. We got separated. I don't know where he's at. He's probably going to find his way here. And the
Do you guys
guys
separate a lot on vacation?
not usually, but that's one of those things we think about.
Sure.
But we've also seen that where she doesn't necessarily smoke cigars, but if we go to a cigar shop and I'm sitting around smoking cigars, like when we were in Nashville a couple years ago, yes, I was the one buying cigars, but then they came around, they were asking us if we want anything to drink, and they asked her if she wanted anything. She's like, well, here's what I really like. I don't drink much, but here's what I like. And they're like, oh, I'll have our bartender come up with something for you. And they did, and she absolutely loved it. So even though she wasn't spending money on cigars or smoking cigars in the lounge, they treated her the exact same that they would treat me.
I got money out of her too.
Well, yes. But my point is, like, if she went there by herself, I would expect that shop to treat her the same way they would treat me from a customer standpoint, not from guys hanging together and busting balls, but just from a customer standpoint.
Well, and Mike Dieter, who was on the show last time, it's a way to build connections through commonality. Interestingly enough, this show brought together a lot of people that know each other through this that have never met in person. We saw that actually in 2022 at the Smoking 10 event at Tinder Box. After the 2020, obviously we shut that down days before the event because of the COVID shutdowns. And then 21, we hadn't been ramped up yet enough. And then you had 2022, and we had started this the community page. We'd started the show before that, but the community page late 2019. I think it was October, November in 2019, right before COVID. And you had a lot of activity in just this community based on that common ground that Mike is talking about. And it was really cool because there were people that came from, Ray Cheshire was one of them. He came the furthest.
Sean Anderson
from Tennessee. You had Bobby Hirschman and his boys from
North Philly.
And they had already had some sort of common ground and knew each other to a level that they had never met in person, but then they kind of all came together for that. So it's really kind of a cool kind of a
and then also, like Sean and Ray, the two of them, Sean Anderson, not Sean Wilkinson, Sean Anderson and Ray, the two of them have very different beliefs in certain things, different political beliefs, different experiences. But yet when they both showed up at the Smoking 10 event, like they acted like they were bros since college. And
absolutely
knew each other and, sat there and talked with each other the whole time. Like it was one of those where they were just so excited to meet that other person that normally they only see their little profile picture and whatever they type.
I did. I saw, sorry, Dave, if you're still watching on YouTube, he did chime in there, correct, that it's a diverse group that blends. And that's obviously pretty poetic there with the blend comment. So appreciate that question, Dave. Absolutely. Mike says cigars is how I met both Nate and Steve. Ray's buddy here. Ray Chester's so light a cigar, and you are a different person. I like him. I like him a lot. I've never met him. Let me see if I can find some of the other ones I put up here. Well, there's a one that I'm trying to wait on a little bit. This one was from Miguel.
I saw that one.
Carving your own path. Sometimes I like to order a glass of red wine with my fish just to piss off the sommelier. Sommelier, is that right? Yeah.
Sommelier.
Yeah. Carving your own path. That is also one of the slogans of
BYOP. Yep. No, I work in the wine industry, and you get people that they're looking for, like, hey, I want a wine that's going to go with, I'm looking for a bottle of wine. All right. And they're like, I want to have it with dinner. Cool. What are you making? All right. I'm making fish. All right, cool. So let me show you this white or this rosé. Nope. I don't like white wine. Oh, okay. Now it just got now it got a little tougher.
You got to earn your money now.
Now it got a little tougher. It's not that it can't be done. It just limits your options a little bit more because, red wine, more skin contact, more tannins, usually more oak aging. those flavors are going to interact negatively typically with fish, but it's definitely possible to find a good combination of red with a fish.
Mm.
May not be the best, but it'll get the job done. So when I actually saw Miguel post that comment earlier in the afternoon, immediately my mind went into work mode and goes, oh, what red wines do I have on the shelf that Miguel would like that go with fish?
Like Pinot Noir goes with a lot.
Depending on the Pinot Noir.
I'm just saying, I think it's a little lighter. It goes with a lot more.
If as long as it's not Mayomi, yes. If
I don't
it's
mind the Mayomi.
You like Mega Purple.
Yeah, you are now a wine snob as well as a bourbon and a cigar snob.
Just rounding out the
just complete asshole.
Okay, fair.
Did anyone else? Brad Silly says, did anyone else just get a crush on Nate? Wow.
No, I mean,
Making some new fans out there.
but no, I mean that's part of my job on a daily basis is people come in. There are some people that are looking for something specific.
Yes.
And then there are people that are looking for something. And just like in the cigar industry, our job is to ask questions. Like, what do you like? What are you having with it? You know, we get people in the Tinder Box that come in like, hey, what cigar is going to go well with a whiskey? Well, what whiskey are you drinking? And it's funny, Sundays, if I'm working with Todd, if Todd's helping a customer and that customer's like, yeah, I'm looking for a cigar that goes with whiskey. Todd goes, Nate. Because he knows I do that. And so that's part of my job is, you know, not every wine drinker out there likes the same wines or likes all wines that are out there, but it's about finding something that'll go well with what that person is looking for in that particular moment. So even though I might have 4 bottles of red wine that are on the shelf that would work with what Miguel was posting about and trying to find something that goes with fish, my job is to know what's going to go well with that, with what he's looking for.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in the cigar industry. Someone's looking for a particular flavor profile. They don't like this. They don't like that. Oh, they're going to have whiskey. They're going to have, say, you know, a peated scotch. Like, okay, well, what's going to go well with the peated scotch? You may not drink a lot of peated scotch, but it's your job, Steve, to try and find something that is going to work well in that situation.
I did have that situation happen just the last couple of weeks.
I had no idea.
I had 3 people come in. They were like, yeah, we're going to go next door and we're going to be drinking Lagavulin.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, okay. And like, what cigar would go well with that? And I made a suggestion. And then a week and a half later, 10 days later, one of them came in and they're like, yeah, so we're getting together with more people and we're going to have some more scotches, kind of like that. Can I get a box of that cigar you recommended?
That's the best compliment.
So that was really, real nice. And I mean, yeah, we'll leave it at that.
No, you can toot your own horn. That's
No. It's actually the opposite. It is one of those things where there are, because based on what, you know, Miguel is saying here with Carve Your Own Path, sometimes he likes to order a glass of red wine. He might actually like red wine and a certain one with certain types of fish.
Yeah.
You also have, you know, they gave me a specific scotch that I have had. I forget which is like Lagavulin 12 or whatever it was. You know what I mean? Is it 10?
8 or 16 typically.
Okay. But the peatier scotches that I don't typically enjoy. And I remember a time that I did have some and I was smoking this cigar and I thought it made the cigar even better. And it definitely made the peaty scotch that I had. I think there was Lefroy. And I enjoyed the scotch more than I normally would. So that's where I went off of that example there. But there's a lot of times where if they're not very experienced with, say, a cigar, or in your case, they're just asking, there's not really a wrong answer. They might just be like, that was really good. And then if they had read about it and someone said, whatever you do, do not drink this wine with fish, it's already in their head. If that wasn't in their head and you had said this, they liked it, and then they would almost possibly feel stupid if they read that after the fact. They're like, oh, shit. That's where I think Miguel is really getting at it with the Crowned Heads slogan of carving your own path. It's do what you like. You know, it's just like the bourbons and the cigars, there's no wrong way necessarily to enjoy. You know, that's the big thing with whiskeys and scotches, especially. That was the whole thing. It's like, oh, never put ice in it, because why would you put ice and ruin something that took 15 years to make? If you enjoy it, then you enjoy it.
You ever watch that video, the Scottish guy doing how to drink whiskey?
Yeah.
And first he sits there and he pours it in the glass and throws it out.
Yeah.
Then he pours
it the same way.
Then he pours it in the glass, and then he pours a shit ton of water. It's like, yeah, we're gonna dilute this to 70 proof because that's the best.
It's like that person that did
watching that going, fuck you.
And like the one bar down in, I think it was Louisville or it's down somewhere in Kentucky, where they were doing Pappy Jello shots.
Yeah, there was a bar owner who said if he ever got a bottle of Pappy, he was going to make Jello shots out of it. And then a few years later, he ended up getting a bottle of Pappy. I think it was 15, maybe 20.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'm going to be true to my word. I'm going to make Jello shots out of it.
No, I think the carving your own path, though, it does apply to a lot of other things, not just whiskey and cigars, not just wine.
Oh, yeah.
Food, but it's do what you like. It's, there will always be people that will be telling you that you're doing it wrong, or some will tell you you're doing it right. But the best people to listen to is you can give your suggestions on how to do anything, but you can't tell someone they're doing it wrong unless it's actually harmful.
Yeah, I was going to add that caveat to it. Yeah. No, you're right.
It's do what you enjoy. I would say, with the caveat of carving your own path, be open to outside information as well, though.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just do things blindly and not educate yourself on what available information is there.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you and I both had times where, whether the cigar side, the wine side, the spirit side, you get people, they're like, I don't like this, or I only like this, and you recommend something that's outside of that parameter.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've certainly done it on the cigar side, where someone's like, I don't like cigars from this person. And so I end up I still ask questions like, what do you like? Give me some brands, give me some cigars, give me some flavors that you do like. And I recommend a cigar that may actually be made by that factory, but it doesn't say that it's made by that factory. And then while that person's smoking that cigar, I ask them if they like it. And they're like, yeah, this is really good. I'm like, cool. Remember how you said you don't like this? That's who makes it. Like, you can't close yourself off entirely to that entire side of things.
Yeah, blind taste tests on things like what we're talking about, obviously consumables, it's the easiest way to open your mind to those types of things. But yeah, let's go to another one here. Do we have any new ones coming in? We do not. Oh, wait. Yeah, we can get into that a little bit. Coming from out of the country here. So just a bit curious, did the new tariffs affect the cigar price in your area? Yes, it has started to affect pricing. Much like what I listened to and read about, like in the US, the Fed addressing the rate. You saw that the rate went down a quarter point, the Fed rate. It's not affecting the consumers as directly as it was not designed to, right? That's not how it works. So it has affected it. It's raised it a little bit. Each company's handling it a little differently, much like any other industry. And I think there's more moving parts than just the tariff that is on different countries and different products coming into that. It is a there is some intent there to, I think you said less than the increases last year. It's minor compared to what we saw over the last several years.
Like, yeah, over the last 5 years prior to this year, I mean, we've seen cigar prices $2, $3, $4 higher than what they used to be. I mean, last year there was a particular brand. We saw everything in their portfolio, which had been in that, I'd say most of their cigars in portfolio were $9 to $15, and everything went up $2. Everything. This year, I haven't seen that same company go up that much.
Yeah, I mean, even if it was direct to consumers, you're looking at 10% to 18% from the major company or companies that are coming in from the major three countries, right?
Yeah.
So you'll see some of it. It is nothing. It's funny. I was talking to several customers over the last several weeks about this, and it's interesting because it is. Ray says that, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say the name wrong. Chuang. Chuang is local cigar supplier. He's the one out in Vietnam there with Ray. Yeah, so it's something where we saw bigger price increases when they were shutting down for COVID, when containers were getting bought up by China, and then the container cost went up
from $5,000 to $20,000.
Yeah, I mean it was extraordinary, and then you also had the ships lining up, waiting to be brought into customs, and you were losing product in the cigar world, other industries as well. It was bottlenecked, on all coasts in the U.S. So we saw a lot more price increases there, where within 12 to 18 months, you saw certain cigars on the shelf going up, 20, 30%, all because of the adjustment of costs.
Chung. Thank you, Ray.
So, yeah, I mean, the tariffs are going to affect it. There's always a reason that prices are going up. So this is the new one that I think a lot of people, due to the like a lot of things due to the media, it's not a direct education of how it will affect the bottom line there.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I know on the wine side, we've had some distributor. So I had it explained to me by someone who works for a distributor. So in a control state, because even wine is slightly controlled in the state of Ohio, the rates are based on the landing cost. So even if the tariff is only on the manufacturer, and say it's a 10% on the manufacturer, it's based on the landing cost. So what the cost was, and then 10% of that. And then the state says, as a distributor, you have to at least then charge this, which then goes to the retailer. Well, then as a retailer, you have this minimum. You can still charge more on wine, but you still have to be at least at this minimum. It kind of gets amplified a little bit. What some distributors have done is, like, let's say overall there was on international imports, there was a 10% increase when, let's say, that was on the retail side. So a $40 bottle was then going to be $44. What some companies were doing is they would put half of that increase on imports, and then the other half of that cost increase on the domestics. So that way they were both increasing by the same percentage. So that way the imports weren't pricing themselves out of the rest of their portfolio.
Yeah. And some of the and I don't know about other industries, but so, with Chung saying this, is some of the states are getting upset as well, because some of the companies are line iteming this, if you will. It's a tariff or a surcharge. And some of the states are getting upset with that because of the state tobacco tax is on the cigars themselves. And so they are going after some of these companies. Certain states are saying that, no, this is bullshit, because we don't get our percentage or our cut of this. The ones that don't necessarily have the cigar, the cigar tax caps.
Yeah.
Can't spit it out. But that's something that's causing some drama there. And I do want to address Brad Sibley asking, our price is pretty consistent from shop to shop. I only shop at Tinder Box Easton. Appreciate that. So I don't have a point of reference. And Bobby Hirschman out there, how you doing, Bobby? They shouldn't. So what you're going to find there is, yes, you can charge. There are some that are not. A lot of cigars are not necessarily price protected, so they can charge less and make a lower margin if they want to, or if they can't move something. If they're trying to be aggressive, it just hurts the community overall. It cheapens the brand, depending on which ones you're talking about. And then you also see that they're more expensive, and there's several reasons for that. In other states, if you have like a bar, or, it's more of a lounge, they may have a higher price point because it's kind of justifying as you
business.
are. Well, and it's the ambiance. I mean, it's like going into a bar and you pay more for something than buying it and taking it home, right? So you're paying for the ambiance and the experience. There's also something for at least the state of Ohio. I can speak to that to Brad's comment there, is that if you're like Tinder Box at Easton, a lot of the shops, they buy directly from the manufacturer so that they basically get it at the wholesale price. Sometimes there are deals with that, but a lot of shops don't necessarily factor that in because they try to be consistent with pricing. Helps the bottom line a little bit if you have the buying power to do that. And then also, if you are not buying directly from the manufacturer, then you're buying from a wholesaler that is going to be typically charging them more to buy from not direct. Mm-hmm. And therefore, they want to have the same kind of margin on it. So they will, just the way it happens, they will be more expensive because they're paying more for that product than, say, Tinder Box at Easton buying directly from Drew Estate. But if you buy from a local wholesaler, the Drew Estate products, now you got a middleman that's getting a little bit of a cut. They're not going to just pass it along to you directly. So that's where you'll see some fluctuations, at least in the Ohio market, typically for those reasons.
That's what I have to do at Carfagna's. There's only a couple companies I deal with directly. So my stuff from those companies is priced very, very similar to what Tinder Box charges. But then there's stuff that, I'm not direct with because I only carry maybe one or two facings from that brand. So I'm not big enough to work direct with them. So I have to work through a distributor. And then that distributor has to make a little bit of money off that. And then I'm basing my margin on the exact same percentage that a cigar shop who was going direct is. So it may be $1 or $2 higher, but that's just based on the exact same margin. And then you have some stores out there, even ones in Ohio, that the cigar side of the business is such a small percentage of the company that they can sit there and maybe charge a little bit less than what an independent cigar shop is going to charge, because that's not where that business is making money. They're making money on everything else.
Right.
So they can sit there and just sell something to make some money, but they're not necessarily making their bread on the sale of cigars.
Yeah. But yeah. There are some that are price protected you can't put on a tremendous deal because that will cheapen the brand. And we do see that a lot. Especially
see that on
online.
The wine side too.
Yeah, you see it online a lot.
Yeah.
Honestly. All right. So let's keep moving forward here. We got a couple more. Got about a half hour left here. So let's see. Bobby Hirschman's on. We can go with his. We've had topics like this.
Mm-hmm.
This is from Bobby Hirschman out there. I don't know if you're still listening. Hopefully you still are. How cancerous social media is when times get rough. People don't respect other opinions and beliefs. I think he meant it's a sad state right now. Had to block so many, even family members.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how far we want to unpack this, but this is it's unfortunate. I mean, last several years now, but even more recently in the last week or so. Yeah. I mean, you've seen people blocking each other on social media. You've seen some nasty stuff going back and forth. You see, obviously, a lot of, if you watch different news outlets, it's just as bad as social media, mass media.
Yeah.
All about the blame game on a lot of these situations, or you're talking about this situation, but you didn't talk about this situation, so you're bad. I even commented on someone I went to college with. They're very liberal. He's a gay man that I went to college with, and he didn't come out until after college. No one treated him any differently, and it's just now he had commented something about that where it was like, oh, people are commenting about this, but they're not commenting about that, and you didn't post about this. And I just commented back. I'm like, it's all bad, man. You know what I mean? It's all bad. Bad for different reasons, bad for similar reasons, all that stuff. But it's like, if you commented or shared posts on certain things that were bad every day that happen in this world, in this country, in the city you live in, your Facebook feed or your Instagram feed would be very busy about everyone that got murdered or stolen, or stolen from, or this person did this crime and all that stuff. And it's people choose on what they are impacted by more.
Well, I think the issue with social media is everyone who has a social media account, or I should say everyone, that I would say vast majority of people who have a social media account have no problem putting their opinion out there because they're protected by being behind a screen. No one knows. There's a certain sense of anonymity. No one knows where they live or where they work or stuff like that. So they'll sit there and just fire off whatever opinion pops in their head, and they may not necessarily care or give any consideration to what repercussions may come from that. So you may have people out there that, something happens and they want to sit there and fire off their 2 cents. And then people that actually know them or are close to them go, wow, I completely don't agree with that. I can't believe you would think like that or say something like that. I don't ever want to talk to you again. Like at least on social media, come in the store, or meet up in person, or we run into each other at a bar. Fine, I'll say hi to you or something like that. But as far as back and forth on a regular basis, yeah, I can do without that. And I think a lot of that has to do with whatever the issue is, one side's interpretation of a negativity from that versus the other. So something may happen and someone says something about it that another person takes negatively, and that person's like, I can't agree with that whatsoever. I think the problem is there's so much emotion attached to that. There's a lot of things that have been said or have gone on in recent years where I want to say something, but then I have that split second where I go, I really don't care what that person thinks about what I say. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste my energy. If I never speak to that person again, it's not going to change my life whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't delete people. I deleted my own comments before sending them on a couple of them. Is it worth it? I kind of typed something off, and I took it away. I had one interaction with someone after the Charlie Kirk thing, and kind of went back and forth with him, and it was like I couldn't pin down that person for what they had originally commented for, and then where it went in the comments back and forth, because it's like everything that they said, then I would I just would try to respond rationally, and it was like they would just do another thing out of their playbook, and I'm like, what you pick a lane, man, you know what I mean? It was like one of those things, and it was just not worth my effort, because it took up a little bit of my time that evening, and then I even took it off the comments of Facebook, because I'm like, why are we doing this on Facebook? So I texted that person, and it's still just kind of like, all right, man, I love you. Sorry, we don't see eye to eye. I really can't follow your train of thought because it's jumping tracks here. And so there were some other people with that situation. I've seen it with other situations. It's so funny to me, not funny, but ironically funny, when these types of things have been happening, like what Bobby's talking about here with social media being cancerous. It's like with any of these shootings that have happened in recent years, it's like they want to be right about who the shooter was and what their beliefs were about it more than the situation itself. And it's so fucking weird. With the Charlie Kirk thing, the one thing that no one had even talked about, which was, I think some have started to, but ironically, the same day that there was a different type of school shooting, which is tragic, everyone was going on Charlie Kirk being murdered by a shooter, and they talked about it, but they didn't put it in perspective that luckily that shooter didn't turn on the crowd at a college campus where there were thousands of people gathered. All he did was focus on who is this person and why did they kill Charlie Kirk? Oh, it's on the right, it's on the left, and all this stuff. It's like, no, you had a school shooter. He just chose to shoot that one person and leave. He could have sprayed the crowd. That it's so crazy to me that no one really latched on to the story. It's like there was a gunman on a college campus. It's not just about, you know what I mean? Like no one cares about that, which is so bizarre to me. Like I'm looking at you, you're even like, yeah, I guess. I mean, like it registers to me that there was, if my kid was at that college, tragic event, but I'm like, thank God they didn't get shot. Thank God that person didn't turn on the crowd and just shoot more, because that could have happened.
Well, and I think because of the way that transpired, that's why you hear the term assassination and not like a school shooting.
It was not a mass shooting. I agree.
It was a one-shot thing. Like that person had an intended individual. Whereas typically when you go to a school shooter, that school shooter is like, I just want to kill as many people as possible. That's not what this person's intent was. I agree.
Most of the time, the school shooters have a list of people they're going after initially.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Or it's just everyone.
Anyways. So yeah, social media is a time. It's rough at times, especially now. Not that long ago were we dealing with, obviously, with the COVID stuff we were referring to with the tariffs conversation. That was a lot of this too. If you didn't believe in what the other people believed about the COVID vaccines, about how you treated people, about how you reacted to it, it was like, fuck you, you're the worst person in the world. And it happened on both, if not like all sides. You know what I mean? It was just people were responding, they were deleting each other, they were treating people differently. Pick your topic, it's going to happen, unfortunately. It's a fun one. This one was from Jake Sanders, standing up for what you believe. I think it's related.
Yeah.
Very related. I think it was one of those things, like I said, I didn't delete people. Bobby Hirschman did. I know Kristen, my wife, she has I like her logic where it was like, it's not necessarily that she has ill will to anyone that she ended up deleting, not necessarily blocking, but she's like, I don't, if it's an extent that it's overtaking my social media feeds, it's taking my mental capacity. It's like, life's too short. I'm not going to get in arguments, and I don't want that in my life. It's not that she's not open to other ideologies or other, perspectives on things, but it's like, if you're just shoving it down my throat every time and that I'm a bad person if I disagree with you, then it's like, dude, I agree with her.
I went through that almost a decade ago now. I had a really close friend, like my best friend from high school, that about a decade ago, almost, just everything they were posting on social media. Like, this is someone that if they lived here in town and I met up with them regularly, we could have a conversation about, but they don't anymore. So this person was posting every emotional thought that came into their mind onto social media. And I didn't necessarily I don't like getting into social media fights with people, because it's not going to solve anything. It's not going to do anything. Like, I'm on this, like, I'm in Ohio, that person's in Illinois. Mm-hmm. Like, what the fuck's going to happen? It's not going to change our lives whatsoever if I decide to get into an engagement with that person on social media.
And it's highly unlikely that there's going to be an aha moment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But that person, the issue I had, everything that person was posting was just obscenely negative. And I wanted to respond. I didn't, because I knew chances are I was going to say something just absolutely detrimental to whatever resemblance of a friendship we may have had at that time. So I didn't say anything, but every time that person would post something, I would read it and it would just make me angry. I would want to respond, but I had enough self-control to not to. And they just, it seemed like it was every day, but it wasn't. But just all the time, every time I see that person post something, it's negative, even though they weren't being impacted whatsoever by whatever it was they were bitching about.
Right.
And I had that moment where I realized this person who's not even talking to me is having more of an impact on me than I care to let them have. I don't want to let myself give up that kind of emotional control to that person. I'm just not going to follow that person. And it was a tough thing to do at that time. I don't even think that person knows I did that. And
Never know, yeah.
And the weight that was lifted off of me after I did that, the calming effect it had on me, like no longer was I seeing that kind of negativity. It, like the weight that lifted off my shoulders, I felt like I could finally relax, which was weird because, like I said, I never said anything to that person. I was just, letting them rent space in my mind at no cost. And I was like, I'm not going to give you that power. Nope. If that's all that person was posting. They were never posting anything positive.
Right.
And that's the issue. It was negative all the time. Nothing positive. Nothing that was going on good in their life or how good they had it, where they can sit there and do a hobby that could pay for their living in a suburb of Chicago. Mm-hmm. Like, holy shit. And you're bitching about all this stuff. Like, I went to school with you. I knew where you grew up. Like, you did not grow up in a suburb of Chicago. Like, you grew up in Obetz. Like, take it back a notch.
Suburb of Grove City.
No, it's not.
Suburb of Groveport.
No, my grandfather built his house in Obetz in 1956. Like, it is not a suburb. It's a suburb of Columbus, maybe.
It's a suburb of Columbus.
Okay.
I'm just saying. It's not, yeah.
But no, that person posting stuff on social media was aggravating me, and I didn't feel like I could respond to that person and still have a relationship with that person, because not that I would cut off, because I felt like that person would cut it off. And to this day, and it's been almost a decade, I've had no interaction with that person ever since. That person has not once reached out to me and asked how I'm doing,
you're not gonna,
what's changed in life. That person doesn't give a shit about me whatsoever. So why should I give a shit about what's going on with them?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree completely. Now we got, I love this part. I don't have any others, so we might as well do this one here. Greg says, how about good for the country? And then Ray, oh, wouldn't that be nice? Speaking of the social media differences there. What's Brad got to say here? I think a lot of the people that act the way Nate is describing don't have enough reality in their life. I see way too much shit to make extra drama in my life. Yeah, Brad's a firefighter EMT here in Columbus area. So he would be happy. I mean, he was sending me stuff from back in the riot times, a few years back. So sees a lot of that. Greg says we have cigars, friendship, and bourbon. Yeah, it's something where I feel as though we lose sight of it very easily, and there's a divide that has happened over and over again. None of this is new. None of this is new, and
it just takes a different
I'm
format.
surprised. I'd be surprised if in the last week or so, and I didn't go heavy on anything necessarily, but I even said to Kristen, I'm like, I'm going to start sharing some things that I feel like are pertinent and in my own way, like, and that's fucking sharing Instagram reels, you know what I mean, on my Instagram stories. It's not like I'm like making major Facebook posts of like political stances or anything like that, but it's it's like some of my favorite things to do are posting past politicians on the other side of certain things and how it's like identical to what like the current administration has been saying and doing. Like it's not funny to people that think they watch that, like, oh, he voted for Trump. It's like, it's literally like, if you watch the clip, like this is where Bill Clinton said the exact same thing. This is where Obama said that you saw some of my said the exact same thing.
You sent some of them.
I sent them to you. Yeah, I used to send them to people that are similar minded on certain things, and And I started posting a few of them, and it's just like, yeah, I'm sure it's like, it's not going to be an aha moment for anyone, but it's like, it's not even entertaining to me. It's just like, no, that if you do listen to other things that aren't showing up on your feed because of what your algorithm is, of what you have believed in your echo chamber, you might actually see it from friends. I'm not posting things like some girl I went to college with, same kind of thing with the other person I talked about earlier. They did post #karma has a sense of humor after Charlie Kirk got shot. And I'm just like, I haven't talked to you in 20 years. I should just delete you, but I just kind of moved past it. It did consume me for about 20 minutes. And that was one of the ones where I started typing something. I'm like, no, I'm just going to delete it. Like there's no good that's going to come of it.
They haven't talked to you in 20 years. Like, why are you going to start now over that?
Yeah. I
Thanks, Greg.
Greg says Nate has reality in his life because he is normal. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
No, I think that the biggest thing of a lot of this is, kind of stand up for what you believe in, like, good for the country. Well, everyone's got different ideas of that. I don't think it should be something where, and we're not a major news outlet for any of this stuff, but this is just my opinion, where it's just like, it's all bad. Any of this violence, and it's always bad.
Yeah.
If you break the law, if you do something, you should be held accountable. If the law needs to be changed, then it needs to be changed in a different way. But it's like letting people get away with shit and then also victimizing some of the predators or the criminals is not helping this situation, when it is something that what really needs to change is a long-term thing. And band-aids on it, or victimizing, or in a sense, victimizing the person that's committing the crime. I mean, I was watching the news last night, and I was watching CNN, and there's a person on there on a show I was watching, and then there was another person on ABC that also did the same thing for the shooter for Charlie Kirk. Not to stay on that thing, but it's like they were saying how it was kind of you saw through the text messages with his roommate / lover or whatever, that it was like, kind of like portraying it as a romantic gesture. I don't know if you saw any of that stuff. And it was just like, I was watching it happen live last night on CNN, and I'm just like, that person got shut down by the entire table, both Democrats and Republicans. And it was just like, what are you fucking talking about? But that person also did a talk show for 30 years. So
I know exactly who you're talking about.
I was watching it live, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And then like the whole table, even the host was like, no, we can agree that the rest of us, like everyone else, can agree that this was a political thing. Like this was this was not.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why many years ago I stopped watching the news.
Yeah.
Because it's also one of the reasons why when Jess and I moved to Hilliard, the rule I made when we moved into our place was no more TVs in the bedroom. And the reason was when we lived in Columbus or in Grandview, we had a TV in the bedroom. When I went to bed, I would turn on the nightly news, and there would always be something negative that just got me fired up, got me amped up. Now my heart rate's racing. I turn the TV off. I'm still racing. I can't go to sleep. And that was having a negative impact. And then when I would wake up in the morning, what's the first thing I did? I turned on the news, mainly because I wanted to watch the weather report for that day. But then I'm still hearing shit on the news, and it would have me in a bad mood and negative mood throughout the rest of the day. And I realized how much attention I was giving to that. So when we moved, I was like, no more of this. No more TV in the bedroom. When we go to bed, we go to bed. I would love it if, we didn't have our phones in the bedroom, but sometimes use that as your alarm clock. Sometimes, you may be in a position with your career where people need to be able to get a hold of you. So I understand that may not be something everyone can do, but I was like, how many times do you sit there and you go to bed and, like your significant other is over there and they're just sitting there scrolling through on their phone. It's like, I thought you said you were going to bed 2 hours ago. I come up to bed and now you're just sitting there scrolling on your phone. Like, go to bed. Like, and then you wake up in the next morning, like, I'm tired. Well, yeah, because you stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning looking at shit on your phone. Like, quit doing that. Go to bed, turn your phone off. Like, whatever.
Says the guy that stays up till 4 a.m. watching stuff while on his phone.
Usually I'm watching movies on the TV on the back patio because I'm staying up, I'm smoking cigars and drinking.
I know.
But I'm sitting there going, like, if I don't have to go to work until 1 o'clock in the morning,
I know.
Okay, I gotta go to work at 1, which means I need to wake up at 11. So 8 hours makes it 3. Cool. I can watch TV and drink till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Attacking you on that one.
No, I know.
It's just funny.
Yeah.
I like watching the morning news.
But the point is, I turn that shit off.
Yeah.
Like, there comes a point where I turn that stuff off and then I go to bed. I don't go to bed and then start watching that stuff.
And that's fair. I think everyone has different way of doing things, but you're turning that off in a sense that, you know, Bobby's saying it, Kristen was saying to me, is like, you know, it's like, and you were saying about that friend from the past, it was like, you just need to turn it off. I mean, there's only so much you can take. I'm a glutton for punishment to a point where I like to watch and flip back and forth some nights.
Bears games?
Well, Bears games, yeah. Probably worse. But no, I mean, like, you know, it's between like Fox and CNN just to see what the different shows are talking about, different perspectives. I did that this week. I did a lot during the election time, last presidential election, and I've been doing it a bit again this week. And it's interesting. It does. I don't get affected as much as some people where they're like, in a sense, triggered by certain things and then they get angry. It's more, I start thinking more about it and about people and how they react to it. So my brain starts working in a lot of different ways, but it's not necessarily like anger or like something where I'm like, oh, I'm going to go on and start bashing all these people that have different ideas than I do about certain things. It's just, I find it fascinating about it.
The only thing,
finding the underlying things that are in common between the two main sides, the two far sides of things.
Yeah. The only thing I posted on any social media about current events was I had asked the question if anyone else felt like they couldn't talk about it because of ramifications at work or with their personal lives. And the very next day I got asked about that in person. And
at work.
Yeah. And
you got to watch it.
And, you know, I broke my rule. My old rule used to be do not accept friend requests from anyone you work with, because then if the two of you don't align on everything, it can make the work situation awkward.
Except for the Tinder Box.
Or difficult. Well, yeah, because I'm not going to say that.
You have to watch what you say.
Yeah.
There are people that
so then the very next day I was actually asked about that. And I was like, look, I was in the store the other day and I kept hearing this is terrible, and that just didn't sit well with me. And I'm the person in the household right now that's providing for the family, and I don't want to do anything that's going to cost me my job and my paycheck and my ability to provide for my family. So I'm not going to say anything because I'm trying to take care of my family.
I think you have to, no matter what it is, especially professionally, what you were saying, you know, people behind screens and stuff like that, it's as if, and you're seeing it again now. We saw it again in the past 5 years. We've seen it over history, but even more so now with the social media side of it, is that the whole cancel culture thing that happened 5-6 years ago now is happening right now this week on a different note. And it is astonishing that, yeah, Greg Sands said that's why Kimmel just got suspended indefinitely. It's you could say whatever you want if you were on a certain side. And now it's like, there is more of the, in my opinion, old school. It's like you have to have a little bit of professionalism about you. You can say what you believe to a point, as long as it's not negative towards anyone else. You can say, you respect this, you respect that. I stand up for, like what Jake had said, stand up for what I believe in. But when you start doing like that person, the person I went to college with, where it's like hashtag karma has a sense of humor, now that's not professional. If you do go into your workplace, depending on what you do, if you were to post that, yes, your employer could have like someone got murdered. You're rooting for that in a way of the way you did that. That's not okay. It goes back to the age-old thing. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Well, I'm one of those people that, as long as I've worked in the cigar community, like if I had a cigar rep come in the store and I heard them talking about, say, a current event that happened and it was what I perceived as gross and inhumane, I'm not going to recommend that person's cigar to anybody.
People buy from people they like, and people do not buy from people they don't like.
I'm also going to sell from people I like or don't, and I'm not going to sell from people I don't like. Same thing. Mm-hmm. Like if it's that kind of thing. If you want to sit there and you want to put something out there, like, okay, cool, this might impact your bottom line. Like, I'm not going to necessarily get into a confrontation with you, but that's going to resonate. I'm going to remember what that person said.
There's so many different,
and it doesn't matter what the situation is, what the topic is. If it's something that is so strong that I feel sick about what that person said, for example, the company I used to work for in the cigar industry, I almost never recommend a cigar from that company unless it is the only cigar that matches what that person's looking for. If that person comes in looking for a specific product from that company, cool. Yes, we got it right over here. I'll tell you everything you want to know about that product. But if someone comes in looking for a recommendation, I'm going to recommend something from the people that have taken care of us as a staff, from the people that take care of the business,
I think
like the people that I like and people that I appreciate. I'm going to recommend their product.
I think those are two different things, though. That was a personal thing versus a ideological thing. I see where it could be blurred, but that is a personal experience versus something that didn't happen to you and people's opinions on it.
True.
And how they handled it.
Yeah, I get that.
I think they're both valid. I think it's fine. I don't, you got to watch, I think, not you, but I think one has to watch how they, classify groups of things. Your professional experience with a company is different than speaking politically about,
and that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons why I didn't put a whole lot out there, because I have two jobs. I represent two different companies, and if I put something out there, it may cause customers to run away from either one of those industries, and could potentially. And if that person then, like, if I had said something to someone who was a customer at Tinder Box, and
you could be a liability to one of the businesses as well. So they have their own things that they have to hold true to themselves. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, you have to do it for yourself. And it is.
That business may have to do what's best for them too.
Correct.
Which could be negative to me.
You can go and start your own business if you wanted to and do it your way. You know what I mean? So again, there is that part of it of there's got to be a little bit of tact in how you address things. And the ones that are shooting from the hip, they can get hit right back with it. You know what I mean?
I actually got a complaint when I worked at Battelle that I wasn't tactful.
You've come a long way. On that note.
Now I shut the fuck up.
Guys, thank you very much. We're going to round this out here with a cheers. Cheers to you guys. Thank you so much. This was more engagement than we've had in quite some time. It helps Nate and I, since otherwise we'd just be sitting here talking to ourselves, looking at a screen with no one watching. So we appreciate you guys out there, the community support, and everyone supporting the show and enjoying it. Saw some names on the comments that I haven't seen in a while, so that's really nice to see.
Absolutely.
Join us 2 weeks from now. We'll have David in the garage. And if you guys have, in the meantime, based on this, if you have any topics you'd like us to tackle, we love doing these kind of multiple topics in part 2. But if you have anything that we think we can make a good hour or so out of, we'd love to tackle that for you guys. And hopefully if you do suggest something we're going to do, we'll definitely put it out there before the show so that you know to tune in and chime in. We appreciate you guys' support.
We're a podcast for the people.
That's right. For the people. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
And cheers to you guys out there. That is good.